Hey, my name's Jim. I run this account called CGC Sports Illustrated. Today's video, we're going to be taking a deep dive into the CGC census. And I love this video because a friend of mine sent me a text and he said, Hey, I got an idea for a video. I really don't know what I'm doing with the census and I struggle with it. So could you kind of do like a how-to on how to use the census? And I love that suggestion because number one, it's on the CGC website and everything with the CGC website is not very intuitive and the user interface isn't that great. So kind of need a little help with stuff like that. And number two, I forget that I've been doing this for years. I'm good at it. I can whip around on the census and find out what I need in a split second. But if you're just getting started or even, beyond just entry level into this hobby, census can be pretty confusing. So please, if you have ideas on how-to videos or tips or tricks or want to know more information or anything like that, suggest a video topic to me. Please shoot me a DM on social media, drop a comment here on this YouTube video, and we'll take a deep dive into it. So let's rock and roll. CGC Census, you got to go to the CGC website. Pretty simple, cgccomics.com. Then you want to go to where it says resources. And I'm going to scroll down here so you can see this. Move myself over there. Right at the top, resources. And then you click CGC Census. That's going to bring up the census. Actually, let's back up a step. What you got to do first before you even do that is you got to be a CGC member. Now, the good news is you can access the census by the free membership. So here are the different membership tiers. Let me make my window a little bit smaller here so we can see a little bit more. There we go. That's better. So the free membership. Now, if you want to join and pay for an annual membership, great. You get all the benefits that come with that. But you must have at least the free level of membership to access the CGC census. So just go over there, create an account, create a free one, and then you can access the census. Like I talked about, you go to resources, you click on census, and then this comes up. And I'm going to teach you the first trick. And I learned this when I first started doing this years ago. This is, again, not a very intuitive website. The user interface isn't all that great. So what I usually do is I type in Sports Illustrated. But what I kept doing is putting a space after I completed the word illustrated. And when I hit search on that, I'm going to get all the ancillary Sports Illustrateds, but not the Sports Illustrated I want, which is the weekly issues. So the first trick is that when you're doing this and when you're typing in Sports Illustrated, do not put a space after the word illustrated. Also, make sure you spell it correctly. Let's click on search and we'll see what comes up. Now it shows up at the top. So these are all of the different Sports Illustrated publications. So we've got SI China, Sports Illustrated for Kids, SI Latino, tons of options under Sports Illustrated Presents, which are the commemorative issues that aren't part of the subscription that you have to buy at the newsstand and that sort of stuff. So here are all of your Sports Illustrated options. So we can click on, for example, Sports Illustrated Presents. And this is going to bring up all the commemorative issues that anybody's ever been graded. Now, if you're looking for something and you're looking for an issue, and by the way, you got to know a couple of key pieces of information, the volume and issue number and the date. That's how these things are going to be sorted, by the volume and issue number and the date. If you're looking for something in the census and you can't find it, that's because that means nobody's graded that issue yet. So there's maybe tip number two. Number one, make sure you spell Sports Illustrated right and don't put a space after the illustrated. Number two, if you don't see an issue in here, it's likely because nobody's ever graded it before. As soon as somebody submits one for grading, then it becomes part of the census. So again, we can see all of these, like I said, SI China, SI Latino, all the side publications, Sports Illustrated for Kids, Sports Illustrated on Campus, which was kind of a cool separate publication they distributed for a few years on college campuses. But let's click the one everybody wants to see, which are the weekly issues of Sports Illustrated. So couple things here. CGC, not the greatest database in the world. You'll notice there are a couple of oddball issues up here. You'll notice there are some randoms that are out of order. In general, they go in order. Volume number one, issue number one, and then we can scroll literally all the way to the bottom. The last issue, weekly issue that's been graded was the 2021, November 2021 Luka Doncic issue, volume 132, issue number 12. So So these are all listed for the most part chronologically. So something to keep in mind when you're looking for things, but you got to know that volume number and you got to know that issue number to be able to find out what you're looking at. So this is the general page here where you can find the issue that you want to look at. So I've got one pulled up already here. So this is the very first Sports Illustrated from 1954 with Eddie Matthews on the cover. Lots of great database information. Our publication is Sports Illustrated. Volume number 1, issue number 1, gives you the issue date. And for whatever reason, I know what the volume and issue number is, but I don't know the date. I always come here and look for it. I know I can find it in a quick second. If I know the date, but I don't know the volume and issue number, again, I can come here and find it really easily. This is the publisher. And then we've got some key comments. We can see that it's Eddie Matthews on the cover. Talks about how there's baseball cards on the inside, some of the writers' names, and then we've got all this great information here. So let's start and look at this horizontally first. So we've got our grade column here. This column is universal. That's the most popular standard blue universal label that you see on slabs. This column here is qualified. So qualified issues are green labels. Qualified means there's something wrong with the issue. Generally, most qualified issues you see have autographs on them, which CGC considers a defect. I'm not going to get into that now. There's other videos I've done about autographs that you should take a look at. And then we've got signature series. If you saw my unboxing video where I got my first signature series of the Mark McGwire cover, that's where these will be listed. There's only 32, 36 signature series Sports Illustrated issues, so you won't see many of those. And then the fourth column is restored. And so that means that somebody has done some restoration on this issue and you end up getting that restored purple label. But this is where most people are looking for the pop counts. So again, you've got all the grading tiers over here on the left. And then you've got all the pop counts right here. Now, it starts with 10 and 9.9. Again, I've said it before many times. There has never been an issue of Sports Illustrated that's gotten a grade above 9.8. I don't think there ever will be. So you always skip down to the 9.8s. And we can see that there's 78 copies of this issue at 9.8, 130 at 9.6, and all the way at the bottom here, we can see there's even one at 0.5. We've got a total of 549 copies of this issue that have been graded in the universal blue label. Very valuable information as you're trying to kind of figure out what you want to do in this hobby and all the things that it takes associated with that. I'm on the census every day pretty much and spend a lot of time in there. So good example here of the very first Sports Illustrated issue in 1954. This is where you'll also get some other key pieces of information, like whether or not this is an athlete's first cover. So this is January 15th, 1996. And as you can see right there in the key comments, it says first Brett Favre cover. I've done a lot of videos about this in the past, but it's important on us in the hobby that make these submissions into CGC. We need to be able to let CGC know when there's a variant, when there's a first cover, when there's something noteworthy that should be put in the census and then also put on the slab. You can see here there's 3 9.6s, there's 0 9.8s, but what I wanted to highlight here is this part right here. First Brett Favre cover. Another really good bit of information that you're going to get out of the census. Next piece of info is variance. So again, talked a lot about variance before, how important it is for CGC to break those out in the census, my struggles, and everybody in the hobby struggles with getting CGC to actually break these variants out. So this is October 23rd, 2000. It's really an awesome variant. I think Rich Gannon from the Raiders was on the general nationally distributed cover of Sports Illustrated that week, October 23rd, 2000. But it was World Series time, and it was the Subway Series between the Mets and the Yankees. And so there was a couple of special editions of Sports Illustrated that were just released in the New York metro area. One had Derek Jeter on the cover for the Yankees. The other one had Mike Piazza on the cover for the Mets. So in this instance, CGC broke those variants out separately. So we can sit here and say, okay, there's been 2 of the Rich Gannon covers graded, one at 9.2 and one at 9.0. But here's the Mets edition. Awesome. I can see there's a 9.8 Mets edition. There's a 9.6. There's a 9.0. Very, very cool. And then I can come on down here and I can see this is the Yankees edition. No 9.8s, 5 9.6s, 2 9.4s, and a 9.2. So this is Again, really important to be able to see that so that you can see the difference and see when it's a first cover, see when it's a variant. Now, sometimes they still haven't done the breakout of the variant. A lot of times, if that's the case, you'll see something that says, 4 regional covers exist or something like that. That means CGC hasn't done the breakout on the variant yet. If they haven't done that and I'm submitting an issue from that week, I certainly request it and hope that they do it. And they're getting better at it. Another thing I want to show you too, let's pop back over here. I want to show you the difference between where you can see the difference between subscription issues and newsstand issues. Of course, I click on one where there are no subscription issues graded. Let me go a little bit further here. I can take a look at one. I've got one already pulled up. Okay, so this is the first Mickey Mantle cover from 1956, June 18th. So the top one is always going to be the newsstand. I know it doesn't say newsstand on there, but that's the nomenclature that we use in the hobby, that when it doesn't say subscription edition, when it's not labeled as a subscription edition, it is considered a newsstand edition. So we can sit here and say, this is the top one right here. These are going to be the newsstands. I can see there are 2 9.6 Mickey Mantle first covers in newsstand and a total of 25 graded. Now, interestingly enough, there's also a variant on this Mickey Mantle cover. It's called the centerfold variant, and there's 7 of those. But now I can scroll down and I can see, okay, the subscription edition ones are broken out separately. So again, you see here, there's a 9.4 subscription Mickey Mantle. There's a 9.2. There's been 24 copies of Mickey Mantle subscription editions that have been graded. So these are all things that you'll find in the census. It's a huge database. It is invaluable to us in the hobby. And I hope this video has been helpful to kind of give you a how-to of how to manage and navigate and access the census. If I missed something or you still got questions, shoot me a DM on social media, drop a comment here on YouTube. If you've got ideas for future how-to videos, do the same. DM me on social, drop a comment here on YouTube. I hope this was helpful, and thanks for watching. As always, see ya.